Hypernet Current is Destiny's newest strike and has entered the Grandmaster rotation for the very first time. We'll be dealing with Tormentors and a hectic boss room, which can cause teams issues if not managed properly. So today, we'll be covering the best team comp, loadouts, and positioning strategies to make this Grandmaster a breeze. I'm Above, and if you enjoyed today's video, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Now, let's get into it. Starting with my recommended team comp, I want to make it clear that you have a ton of freedom here, but we went with two Well of Radiance Warlocks rocking Starfire Protocol and a Threadrunner Hunter running Aeon Swifts, just like we did in yesterday's guide. You can substitute the Hunter for any of the Strand subclasses of your choosing, as all three are extremely strong and it all comes down to personal preference. Starfire helps speed up DPS on an otherwise lengthy Tormentor fight, and well, basically trivializes the boss fight because you can tank the boss's taken blasts with ease. As usual, Strand dominates champions, while the Aeons ensure your team is always topped off on heavy ammo. As for weapon loadouts, we went with one Osteo Striga, one Tiku's Divination, and a Divinity. Osteo is fantastic against overloads and feeds Starfire's fusion grenade regen as well. Tiku's takes advantage of the solar surge while simultaneously having the ability to stun overload champions with the artifact mod equipped. This weapon is also fantastic against trash mobs, which makes this a great pick for this Grandmaster specifically. Divinity is obviously top tier for overload champions, but is primarily used to bake the Tormentor in what is otherwise an extremely drawn out fight. We paired this with a blinding grenade launcher, an unstoppable scout rifle, a waveframe grenade launcher, a machine gun for ad clear, and two solar linear fusion rifles. Cataclysmic was by far the best heavy setup that we tested today, as it has the ideal ammo economy to deal with both the Tormentor and the final boss, all while taking advantage of the solar surge as well. As for key armor mods, in the artifact we have Volatile Flow to grant your machine gun volatile rounds, and Bricks from Beyond to produce heavy ammo for your teammates in the process. Heavy ammo finder and scout are always helpful to maximize those heavy drops even further. This Grandmaster has an arc threat associated with it, and the Cabal turrets and Scions do a ton of solar damage, which is why I recommend utilizing solar and arc resist on your chest piece to help reduce the incoming damage. If you're able to fit in a concussive dampener, there is a ton of AoE damage in this Nightfall, and this will help mitigate that. Diving right into the Nightfall, the opening area is pretty straightforward. Clear ads, and as you approach the cliffside, make sure to take out the snipers on the high ground. And as you reach the entrance of the cave, you actually want to clear ads from here. There will be two unstoppable champions, 4 Cabal turrets, and dozens of ads in this area, which is why I recommend letting the fight come to you. The enemies will funnel directly towards you, which makes this part pretty easy. Take out the unstops, and when you have a break in the action, you'll want to focus the Cabal turrets in the distance. And once the area has been cleared, you can pick up the skulls and push forward. These are absolutely insane, even on Grandmaster, so definitely use them for ad clear and boss damage when you can. As you approach the overlook, use the remaining skull energy to take out the 4 turrets and focus on killing as many of the snipers as you can. You'll eventually receive a joining allies, which is actually a much safer method than exposing yourself to the dozens of snipers that target you on your way down to the encounter. When you arrive, jump on the high ground and clear the remaining ads. And when the last enemy dies, the Tormentor will spawn in. I recommend throwing down a well next to this pillar, as it gives you an ideal line of sight on both the Tormentor and the 2 unstoppable champions that spawn throughout this fight. Start by killing the first unstop, then shift your focus to the boss. You can ignore most of the ads here, as they're unable to jump to the high ground and don't really have a line of sight on you. You'll want to break the crit spots on the Tormentor's shoulders before diving it, or you'll do significantly reduced damage. And this is where linears come in clutch, because they're ideal for breaking those crit spots. Once the shoulders have been broken, apply div and start baking the Tormentor. Drop a second well when you need it, and when the boss reaches the 1/3 health gate, a second unstoppable champion will spawn in. Make sure to take out the champ before killing the Tormentor, or you'll risk platinum rewards. Once dead, bake the Tormentor, and the rest of the ads will despawn, and just like that, we're moving on to the next encounter. The Vex portal will take you to a transition area with 2 unstoppable champions on the landing pad below you, and a 3rd unstoppable on the following platform. There aren't many ads surrounding surrounding these, which makes them perfect for finishers to restock on ammo. Next up, you'll arrive at the Museum of Taken Blights. Take out the Minotaur and use the skull to cleanse them. You should be able to clear these with a single skull charge, and you can obtain additional charges on the far side of the room. The only thing worth noting here is that you actually want to leave a skull on the ground when you clear the rest of the blights. If they're in your hands when the final blight is cleared, the game will despawn them. But if you leave one on the ground, you can actually take the blight up the lift and clear the blights in the sparrow section as well. Shoot just one blight and the rest of them will despawn, making this part completely free. The next transition zone will have 4 overload champions, but they're relatively spread out so they don't pose much of a threat. The first one can be found at the end of the sparrow section, the next 2 on the high ground as you traverse deeper into the network, and the 4th and final overload will be directly behind them. The only thing worth noting here is that after you kill the second overload, you'll want to play cover behind this pillar as you work on the 3rd overload, or the last one will have line of sight on you. And once again, you can get finishers here to fully replenish your heavy ammo if you need it. The next encounter is all about cleansing taken rifts, and though it seems kinda hectic, it's actually pretty straightforward. Throw down a well between the 2 pillars near where you enter, as the taken rifts don't actually shoot in this direction. You also have decent cover from the 2 overload champions, which makes it significantly easier to clear ads. Assign one person to cleansing the rifts, while the other 2 focus on ad control. If you take a lap around the outer edges of the arena, the ads pose little threat to you, which allows you to cleanse most of them right away. Make your way back to the well with your teammates, suspend the 3 ogres that spawn in, and take them out. You can then focus the 2 overload champions on the high ground and finish cleansing the last couple of rifts to progress the encounter. Once you reach 100%, a grav lift will appear in front of you, and we're moving on to the boss fight. Boss fight is all about ad control and using cover to your advantage. Outside of its Axion darts, the boss doesn't actually pose much of a threat to you. The taken blasts can easily be avoided, and you can even tank them in a well if you so choose. The boss will start in the center of the arena and will spawn in a wave with an unstoppable champion. I recommend setting up behind cover near the back wall, as it gives you the most time to shoot the Axion darts from a distance. Drop a well and clear the enemies, then focus on damaging the boss. You can div the tip of the boss's head for a debuff, which will allow you to speed up your damage. And when it reaches the 2/3 health gate, platforms will appear on either side of the boss with minotaurs that you can kill for skulls to take out the blights. Once all of the blights have been destroyed, the boss will teleport towards the large wall at the back side of the arena. So make sure your team is ready to go before breaking the final blight, or your teammates can get caught out of position and leave a res in a bad spot. Boss will now spawn in a wave with an overload champion, so drop a well and focus on ad clear before worrying about damage. Once again, keep an eye out for Axion darts, and you shouldn't have many problems here. Once clear, damage the boss once again, and when it reaches its 1/3 health gate, it will teleport to the front of the arena and spawn platforms with minotaurs on them once again. This time you'll use the skulls to cleanse taken rifts, and once they've been cleansed, you can focus on the unstoppable champion that spawns near the boss. I recommend dropping a well on the high ground, as it will allow you to ignore the ads, bake the boss, and make the Hypernet Current Grandmaster Nightfall a GG. If you found this guide useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated, and you can catch me live on Twitch over at twitch.tv/above, where I'll be doing GM helps all season long. Anyways guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.